A sharp, piercing shriek erupted from the mouth of the female corpse. The sound was grating, laced with powerful force, instantly causing many of the surrounding restrictions to collapse with a thunderous crash. Anxiousness flickered in the female corpse's eyes as she quickly retreated. Wang Lin's right eye glowed with cyan light once more. This time, the cyan light shield materialized in an instant, blocking her path from behind. A flash of cyan light sent a powerful force reverberating back, forcing the corpse to stagger backward again and again. With a single point of Wang Lin's right hand, the surrounding restrictions quickly converged, enveloping the female corpse entirely. Amid her shriek, the iron chains embedded in her collarbone rattled violently. At once, a thick black mist surged forth, enveloping her completely. In the next instant, she opened her mouth and a pair of crimson scissors shot out, slashing ferociously upward. With a resounding boom, the moment the scissors cut through the air, all the restrictions above her shattered in an instant. Without hesitation, the female corpse charged upward through the swirling black mist, aiming to escape through the top. Just as she was about to break through the palace and flee, Wang Lin's expression remained cold. With a thought, an ancient god cauldron manifested beside him, hovering outside his body. Switch. As Wang Lin's calm voice echoed out, the female corpse's body suddenly lit up. Just as she was about to reach the palace ceiling, her figure trembled, then abruptly vanished. In the same moment, her position was exchanged with Wang Lin, who had been sitting cross-legged at the center of the compass plate. In the blink of an eye, Wang Lin appeared midair where the female corpse had just been, while she now stood at the compass's center. At that very moment, the compass plate spun violently, unleashing countless restrictions that instantly locked onto her. More restrictions surged from all directions, enclosing her completely. Unprepared, and with her cultivation already greatly diminished due to severe injuries, the female corpse trembled as a tide of restrictions overwhelmed her. Her feet, in particular, seemed to be drawn down by the compass, completely immobilizing her beneath the powerful seals. She began to scream shrilly in resistance, her piercing voice echoing in all directions. Wang Lin slowly descended, eyes fixed coldly on the struggling corpse. He raised his right hand and made a fierce grabbing motion. The iron chain embedded in her collarbone let out a deafening crack as Wang Lin forcefully ripped it free. Her body convulsed violently, her scream faltering, and her expression dimmed with fatigue. Yet her eyes, still bright with intelligence, stared at Wang Lin, filled with deep and bitter hatred. As soon as the chain was torn out, it transformed into a black serpent, baring its venomous fangs and lunging toward Wang Lin's right arm. But Wang Lin didn't even flinch. The serpent bit down with a loud snap, only for its fangs to shatter on contact, unable to pierce his flesh in the slightest. The physical body of a royal 5-star ancient god was not something a mere illusory serpent could harm. Wang Lin casually clenched his fist. The black serpent convulsed, then exploded into pieces, scattering as fragments of broken iron chain. Without pausing, Wang Lin reached out again, this time grabbing another chain from her pelvic bone. A shriek of agony escaped her lips as it, too, was torn out. With another squeeze, the chain crumbled to dust. The female corpse's body wavered before she collapsed into a half-seated position on the ground. Wang Lin opened his mouth and exhaled a stream of essence spirit energy, which spread across the compass plate. Sitting cross-legged beside it, he formed a series of hand seals, pointing forward. Slowly, the compass began to rotate again, and the surrounding restrictions gradually merged into the female corpse's body. In the jade slip of Immortal Emperor Lin, there was once a technique called corpse guard. It involved killing an enemy and refining their body with rare materials into a corpse without pain, one that could collapse at any time to protect its master. A cruel, sinister creation. I may not have the long-extinct materials required to create such a corpse, but I can use the method to control one. Wang Lin closed his eyes and began forming intricate hand seals in front of him, casting them one by one into the corpse's body. Time passed. Through sunrises and sunsets, more than half a month slipped by. Wang Lin had now lived on the water spirit star for 3 months. During this time, aside from meditating at the summit of the supreme peak, He had been focused entirely on refining the female corpse within the palace. The process was extremely intricate and demanded his full concentration. As a result, he rarely stepped outside, instead casting hand seals at regular intervals. Inside the palace where he resided, the Tinjong-wide compass plate still spun slowly. The female corpse sat cross-legged atop it, her entire body radiating waves of silver radiance, with a glowing mark pulsing between her brows. Her expression was serene, the former hatred gone without a trace. At this moment, if anyone unfamiliar saw her, they would never guess her true nature. No matter how one looked at her, she appeared to be a beautiful female cultivator. While Wang Lin cultivated on the water spirit star, a not-so-small, yet not-so-huge event occurred on the Destiny Star. A powerful cultivator named Situ Nan rose to prominence, becoming the new palace master of the Rouge Palace. However, his reputation left much to be desired. In the past 3 months, nearly all the female disciples from the small and medium-sized sects on Destiny Star had been harassed by this person. Fortunately, he didn't use force. Instead, under the guise of teaching immortality techniques with his pure nirvana cultivation, he also implied that he could provide pills to enhance cultivation. He gathered many female cultivators together, causing the Rouge Palace to grow exponentially. Day after day, the atmosphere was full of joy. When going out, thousands of female cultivators surrounded him, and thus, Situ Nan's reputation as a man consumed by lust began to spread. However, this person kept his promises. Any female cultivators who joined the Rouge Palace due to him were all given pills and teachings in immortality arts. If their sects pursued the matter, Situ Nan would immediately stand his ground and argue with them. The final result was often that those sects had no choice but to greet him with smiles, for Situ Nan's cultivation was at the level of a pure nirvana cultivator. As a result, more and more female cultivators gathered in the Rouge Palace, and Situ Nan's name became well known across Destiny Star. It was said that 2 female disciples of the 3 Masters of Dust Path were considered peerless beauties, with one possessing a natural water spirit root and the other extremely cold and elegant. Upon hearing this, Situ Nan's curiosity was piqued. After some thought, he led a large group of female cultivators from the Rouge Palace and left Destiny Star. With someone leading the way, they headed straight for Water Spirit Star. The procession was grand, with all the female cultivators dressed in pink robes. In the middle of the group was a massive white jade bed, tens of yards long. Situ Nan leaned on it, surrounded by many female cultivators, his expression filled with joy. Around them, hundreds of female cultivators accompanied them, all heading towards Water Spirit Star. Ahead of Situ Nan was a middle-aged man dressed in blue, with a handsome face and a lascivious gaze. He bowed low and flattered, saying, "Senior Situ, I guarantee that the 2 female cultivators on Water Spirit Star are both beauties of the highest order. In particular, Zhao Shui is stunning, and Xun'er, the one with the water spirit root, is a top-tier furnace body." Situ Nan, enjoying the service of the female cultivators around him, laughed heartily and nodded. "Good. If what you say is true, I'll make sure to reward you handsomely. Pills, immortality techniques, you can choose." The middle-aged man showed a look of delight and quickly expressed his gratitude, saying many more flattering words, which made Situ Nan laugh even harder. Inside, the middle-aged man sneered, thinking, "Zhao Shui, let's see how much longer you can maintain your aloofness. This time, Senior Situ is personally going, and I'll see if you will submit. And Xun'er, this time, you can't escape." Situ Nan cast a casual glance at the middle-aged man. Though his face was joyful, he could tell from the man's demeanor that he harbored resentment toward the 2 female cultivators from Water Spirit Star. However, Situ Nan paid no mind to this. "The water spirit root is good. My brother is a blockhead and probably hasn't had much contact with women over the years. If these 2 girls are really as good as they say, even if I have to take them, I'll do it as a gift to him. Water spirit root. Good, very good," Situ Nan chuckled, a hint of melancholy in his heart. In these past few months on Destiny Star, he had been searching for Wang Lin but found no leads. He had wanted to explore Tianyun's sect, but there was a vast aura surrounding it, as if it was sealed off. With Situ Nan's cultivation, it was difficult to enter. This baffled the cultivators of Destiny's Star, but no one could figure out the reason. What they didn't know was that this was an order given by Tian Yunzi before entering seclusion, to seal Destiny's sect and activate the mountain protection array. Luckily, there were many disciples of Destiny's sect still outside. Some of them, including several female cultivators, had been lured to the Rouge Palace by Situ Nan to play. Through questioning, he learned about the rumors surrounding Wang Lin in the land of demonic spirits. These rumors were hardly a secret, and Situ Nan had heard them from the people of Destiny's Star before. Now, after verifying them, he was greatly surprised but quickly burst into laughter, thinking, "Now that's my brother. When he does something, it shakes the heavens." Through further inquiry, Situ Nan learned that Wang Lin had returned to Destiny Star a few months ago. Situ Nan pondered for a moment, analyzing the events, and concluded that Wang Lin must have returned because he was confident and fearless. Therefore, there was no issue with his safety. However, Situ Nan was curious about what made Wang Lin so fearless. Could this kid's cultivation have soared? Situ Nan thought for a long time, but couldn't figure it out. However, through his research and analysis, he knew that Wang Lin's return must be related to the land of demonic spirits. Thus, Situ Nan was no longer in a hurry. He decided to have some fun and enjoy himself, relieving some of the frustration he'd felt on Phoenix Lawn Star. One day, under the guidance of the middle-aged man, Situ Nan, surrounded by hundreds of female cultivators, finally caught sight of Water Spirit Star in the distance. Haha, I'm still the righteous one, specifically choosing concubines for little Lindsay. I wonder what his expression will be if he finds out. Situ Nan laughed heartily as he gazed at the Water Spirit Star. His sudden laughter immediately led all the female cultivators and the middle-aged man nearby to mistakenly assume it was a perverse laugh. With his cultivation at the early pure nirvana stage, Situ Nan's divine sense was incredibly sharp. Combined with his almost demonic arrogance, his divine sense carried a fierce, world-shattering, fearless intensity. At this moment, his divine sense swept across, causing the entire Water Spirit Star to tremble as if giant hands were manipulating it. The ground rumbled, and even the sky roiled with dark clouds in an instant, as if it were a foreboding omen. The three masters of Dust Path, who had been meditating, suddenly opened their eyes, their expressions darkening. The three of them almost simultaneously swayed and disappeared from their secluded spots, only to reappear midair. However, the divine sense was so powerful that as soon as they appeared, they were forced back hundreds of feet, barely managing to stand their ground by exerting all their strength. Datu and Reggie also immediately sensed the overwhelming divine sense. Reggie, whose cultivation was insufficient, coughed up a mouthful of blood under the sweeping force, his face turning pale, yet there was no fear in his eyes, only a grim expression. Datu, enduring the pressure of the divine sense, appeared at Wang Lin's secluded spot, standing alongside Tower Mountain to guard him and watch the sky. As for the other junior cultivators, their faces turned ashen. The weaker ones coughed up blood, and the more vulnerable ones fainted on the spot. Only a few, like Zhao Shui and Xun'er, who had received protective treasures from the three masters of Dust Path, could barely withstand the pressure. The overwhelming divine sense swept past the palace where Wang Lin was. At that very moment, Wang Lin was refining the female corpse. After days of refining, it had reached the most crucial moment. Wang Lin's mind was almost completely linked with the female corpse. As a result, unless someone had a much higher cultivation, anyone trying to use divine sense would only sense the presence of the corpse, as the corpse's cultivation had reached the early pure nirvana stage. When the divine sense briefly paused, it continued its sweep. Far away in the palace, Floating Wind Master's eyes gleamed with light as he furrowed his brows. At the moment the divine sense swept by, his eyes glowed with an eerie light, and with a gesture, he pointed forward. Instantly, the divine sense swirled into a vortex, and a long, resounding laugh echoed through the mind, retracting immediately. I'm in a good mood today, so I'll give you a chance. Hand over the girl with the water spirit root, and that little one named Zhao Shui, or else, with your two half-dead pure nirvana cultivators, I really won't care about you. The rough voice boomed across the Water Spirit Star, transforming into thunderous rumbles that echoed through every corner of the planet. The voice carried divine abilities, amplified by Situ Nan's cultivation at the early pure nirvana stage. Just a single sentence made the three masters of Dust Path spurt blood and retreat once again. Dustless One's face twisted into a grimace as he roared, "Activate the star protection array." As soon as he spoke, he slapped his storage pouch, and a black token flew out. At the same time, Stellar One and First Dragon Prince did not hesitate. Their faces pale, they each retrieved a black token from their storage pouches. The three of them almost simultaneously activated the tokens. The first token immediately shattered with a loud bang, releasing a black ripple that rapidly spread out in all directions, enveloping the entire water spirit star. Once the first token shattered, the other two followed suit. Two black waves of energy spread out simultaneously, forming 3 layers of black light shields around the planet, protecting it tightly. Dustless One's face remained pale. While he wasn't sure if the 3 layers of shields could withstand Situ Nan's power, he remained calm. Inwardly, he sneered, "With Brother Wang here in Water Spirit Star, I'll see who dares to come." Ha! Situ Nan laughed as he saw the 3 protective layers, his gaze flashing with cold light. He had already sensed the presence of 2 pure nirvana cultivators on the Water Spirit Star when he scanned it earlier. Even if those 2 cultivators were injured, Situ Nan was not afraid. Laughing loudly, he vanished from the large bed surrounded by birds and flowers, reappearing outside the Water Spirit Star. Resistance is good. The more you resist, the more excited I get. Damn it. I'm here looking for concubines and furnace cauldrons for my brothers, not for myself. I'm on the side of righteousness. Situ Nan laughed as he approached Water Spirit Star, his eyes glowing with strange light. He suddenly pointed forward with his right index finger. Annihilation. On Situ Nan's right hand, a vortex immediately appeared, spinning furiously with the sound of a sonic boom. In the starry sky, an immense force of heaven and earth began to rapidly gather, merging into the vortex in the blink of an eye. This caused the vortex to spin even faster, and to the naked eye, it appeared as though it had come to a standstill. However, in reality, the speed of rotation inside had reached an incredible level. Last time I was in seclusion, I specifically fine-tuned the 3 fingers of annihilation, demon transformation, and yellow spring. Situ Nan's eyes flashed as he said. In addition, I improved the latter 3 fingers as well. A mere star protection array will shatter in just a few breaths. With a flick of his right index finger, the vortex shot forward with an explosive force, streaking towards the star protection array of the Water Spirit Star. It reached its target in the blink of an eye, crashing directly into the first layer of black light. A deafening boom rang out as the vortex collided with the black light, and a violent storm erupted at the point of contact, pushing outward in all directions. Situ Nan remained still, but the female cultivators behind him had no choice but to retreat. As for the first layer of black light, it flickered violently and suddenly collapsed with a loud bang. A torrent of storm winds spiraled into the second layer of black light. At that instant, Situ Nan did not hesitate. His right hand pointed forward again as he shouted, "Finger of heaven and earth, annihilation of the universe." With this gesture, an even larger vortex appeared, and the forces of heaven and earth in the surrounding starry sky rapidly converged. It was as if the vortex had become a black hole, capable of absorbing all the powers in the sky. In the blink of an eye, the vortex grew to the size of 10 zhong, about 30 meters, rapidly spinning with arcs of lightning flashing inside, emitting thunderous crackling sounds. A strange light flashed in Situ Nan's eyes as he shouted, "Annihilation, transformation." With those words, the thunderous sounds in the vortex reached a peak. The arcs of lightning within underwent violent changes. However, the most astonishing change occurred in the power of heaven and earth inside the vortex. It underwent a remarkable transformation in that instant. A pure nirvana cultivator can absorb heaven and earth energy into their divine powers, but this is merely an absorption. After gathering the energy, they use it to attack, which naturally exceeds the strength of a glimpse of nirvana cultivator. However, this method of utilizing heaven and earth energy is a basic technique, simply absorbing and condensing. But if one thoroughly comprehends the rules, one can take these two actions to a higher level by adding a third element, transformation. Transformation refers to a qualitative change. After continually compressing the vast heaven and earth energy that was absorbed and gathered, it forms a strange force known as the rule power, as understood by a shattered nirvana cultivator. In fact, Wang Lin's self-created twilight divine ability falls under the category of rule power. This kind of rule power rarely appears in the hands of a pure nirvana cultivator, let alone a glimpse of nirvana cultivator, which is why Floating Wind Master was so shocked. With a loud roar, Situ Nan's Tenjong vortex began to shrink rapidly as the heaven and earth energy inside compressed, eventually reducing to the size of a palm. In an instant, it rushed forward toward the star protection array. Break! Situ Nan took a step forward and walked directly toward the vortex. The vortex moved so fast that in the blink of an eye, it neared the second layer of black light. As soon as it touched, the black light flickered violently and, in just moments, began to twist as it was absorbed and devoured by the vortex without any resistance. The vortex did not stop. It continued onward, crashing into the final layer of black light. The moment it hit, the black light shook and collapsed with a thunderous roar, shattering the entire star protection array into pieces. The vortex shot toward Water Spirit Star, with Situ Nan following closely behind, laughing wildly and arrogantly shouting, "Today, I'm finding concubines for my brother. Whoever dares to stop me will be obliterated." As Situ Nan and the vortex appeared above Water Spirit Star, the three masters of Dust Path spat out blood. The mountain protection array, linked to their minds, forced them to retreat once again. Behind Situ Nan, the female cultivators from the Rouge Palace quickly flew over, filling the sky with their presence. A faint fragrance lingered in the air, intoxicating those who inhaled it. The middle-aged man leading the way behind Situ Nan looked excited, glaring fiercely at the three masters of Dust Path, silently cursing them. "You old fools, you've finally met your match." Dustless One's expression darkened as he glared at the approaching Situ Nan and growled, "Fellow Taoist, your cultivation is astounding. You must not be some nameless figure." Situ Nan narrowed his eyes, laughed, and said, "I am Situ Nan. With your cultivation, fellow Taoist Situ, why trouble us three? Besides, Xun'er and Zhao Shui are merely juniors. Please, let them go. The three masters of Dust Path will certainly offer a generous apology for this matter." Situ Nan glanced at the three masters of Dust Path and shook his head. "I have many women, and my cauldrons are plentiful. I won't care about these two juniors you mentioned. But my brother is still young. Let me think. He's only about 1,000 years old, still very young. Don't worry, my brother is a handsome young man. The two junior female cultivators you mentioned may not even interest him. Enough talk. If you keep blabbering, I'll just kill you all and take them. Senior, Zhao Shui can go with you. But please spare my junior sister." From afar, two streaks of rainbow lights streaked across the sky, transforming into two women. One of them was Zhao Shui, while beside her stood Xun'er, calm and composed, showing not the slightest ripple of emotion. Situ Nan narrowed his eyes, casting a glance at Zhao Shui. Inwardly, he nodded with approval. Rumors had indeed been true. This Zhao Shui was coldly elegant, stunning beyond compare, an ideal candidate to serve as a concubine. Then his gaze shifted to Xun'er at Zhao Shui's side, and at that glance, his eyes lit up. A water spirit root, just as I thought. Zhao Shui, from beginning to end, never once spared a glance at the middle-aged man beside Situ Nan. Her aloof and proud demeanor was unmistakable. Situ Nan didn't bother responding to Zhao Shui's plea. With a sweep of his wide sleeve, a strange wind roared to life and instantly swept up Zhao Shui and Xun'er. Arrogantly, he declared, "They're mine now." With that, his body shifted slightly backward as he prepared to leave. Gritting his teeth, the middle-aged man turned toward the palace where Wang Lin resided. Bowing deeply with cupped fists, he cried out with grief and anger, "Brother Wang, please help me this once." Unfortunately, Wang Lin at that very moment was completely absorbed in refining a refined corpse. It was a critical juncture, and although his divine sense was stationed near the palace as a precaution, he was unable to split his attention, even if he sensed something was wrong outside. Situ Nan was just about to leave when he heard the words, "Brother Wang." His body stiffened, his steps halted, and a strange light flickered in his eyes. He murmured to himself, "Surname Wang. The Wang you speak of, what's his full name?" Situ Nan turned to Dustless One, but even before the latter could reply, Situ Nan shook his head and muttered, "Forget it. I can already guess." Even as he spoke, his body transformed into a streak of rainbow light, shooting straight toward the palace where Wang Lin resided. If Situ Nan hadn't gone toward Wang Lin, Floating Wind Master wouldn't have appeared. He was still recovering from injuries and wouldn't have intervened for the three masters of Dust Path. But now that Situ Nan was approaching the palace, Floating Wind Master hesitated, then knew he had no choice but to act. At his cultivation level, many matters could be seen with clarity. Yet his past interactions with Wang Lin left him contemplative. Wang Lin had spared him twice, not out of kindness, but to leverage his strength within the land of demonic spirits. Still, Floating Wind Master had been in the wrong back then and bore no resentment. But to remain idle now? That would be inexcusable. With a flash in his eyes, he abandoned his healing. In the blink of an eye, he tore through the sky and appeared less than 10 kilometers from Wang Lin's palace, blocking Situ Nan's path. "Fellow Taoist, since you've already captured them, it's best if you just leave," said Floating Wind Master calmly. Situ Nan's eyes narrowed, his expression full of impatience. He barked, You? You barely held your own uninjured. Now that you're wounded, you think you can stop me?" As he spoke, he raised his right hand and pointed without hesitation. Yellow Spring Finger. At the moment his finger extended, the skies shifted in an instant. A dense aura of death flooded the world. The Yellow Spring Finger, now refined and enhanced by Situ Nan, had become incredibly powerful. It channeled the force of survival from within death, allowing a thread of vitality to exist at the center of that oppressive death aura. Thus, it became a convergence of yin and yang, transformed into a fearsome divine ability. The swirling death aura formed a finger-shaped gust that shot toward Floating Wind Master. Floating Wind Master formed a hand seal with his left hand and struck forward. In response, a torrent of heaven and earth energy surged to meet the Yellow Spring Finger wind. Boom! Floating Wind Master staggered and was pushed back several meters. But the finger wind from the Yellow Spring remained undiminished. It surged forward again with a deafening roar. Situ Nan's eyes gleamed with disdain as he growled, "Yellow Spring, transform." At that command, the Yellow Spring Finger wind began to contract violently. A destructive aura erupted from it, one that seemed capable of annihilating everything. Floating Wind Master's expression changed drastically. He could clearly sense how unusual this strike was. Without hesitation, he retreated once more. Situ Nan ignored him. With a single step, he drew near the palace where Wang Lin resided. Ta Shan and Datu rushed to intercept him, but Situ Nan swept his sleeve, causing a massive storm to burst forth. Datu was thrown back violently. Ta Shan's massive frame trembled, but as an immortal guard, he managed to hold his ground and retaliated with a powerful punch. The air exploded with a thunderous boom as the punch raced towards Situ Nan. With a surprised grunt, Situ Nan examined Ta Shan closely. With a flick of his right hand, Ta Shan's body shuddered, then was hurled backward by a wave of force. Interesting. A pure Nirvana cultivator, a glimpse of Nirvana cultivator, and a puppet with such a powerful physique. Whoever this Wang fellow is that they're protecting, I've got to see for myself. Laughing wildly, Situ Nan stepped within 100 meters of the palace. But the instant he crossed that line, his expression changed dramatically. He froze in place, mouth agape, eyes wide with disbelief. After all, no matter how powerful his divine sense was, it could never match what the body perceived firsthand. Situ Nan was just about to speak when a sudden, violent howling erupted within the palace. In the blink of an eye, countless seals burst out madly from the palace interior, sweeping across the sky and earth, surging straight towards Situ Nan. Damn it! Situ Nan instinctively moved to retreat, but the sheer number of seals was overwhelming. They swarmed in frantically, as if determined not to relent until he was completely sealed. Situ Nan gave a wry smile and simply stopped retreating. Spreading his arms wide, he waved forward, and instantly, a massive vortex materialized before him. It spun rapidly, and the moment Situ Nan forcefully pushed his arms outward, the vortex transformed into a sweeping arc of rippling energy that surged outward. Every seal that touched the ripple shattered on impact. Within moments, all the seals had been wiped out. Situ Nan was just about to speak again when his expression suddenly shifted. A sharp, piercing female voice rang out from within the palace, echoing straight into the heavens. Even Situ Nan was forced back a few steps. At that very instant, the palace doors flung open. A woman in silver robes shot out like a beam of silver radiance, heading straight for Situ Nan. Situ Nan's eyes narrowed. As he stepped back, his right hand flicked forward, forming a glowing ring. With a sharp gesture and a low cry, he shouted, "Trapping immortal finger." The ring flared with violet light and radiated an immense surge of heaven and earth energy. At his command, it flashed forward toward the female corpse. The next instant, just as it vanished, it reappeared eerily around the woman's body, trapping her and tightening violently. In an instant, the ring split into 2, then 4, and rapidly multiplied into a countless number, binding the woman completely. But she was no ordinary foe. With a snap of her mouth, a pair of crimson scissors flew out, slicing through the rings layer by layer as they crumbled and shattered. Seizing the moment, Situ Nan spat on the ground and gave a bitter chuckle. "Damn it, what kind of mess is this?" Like a flood drowning the Dragon King's temple. With that, he stepped past the woman and headed straight for the palace. As he neared, he formed a hand seal with his right hand and pointed forward with a grin. "Take this, mountain shifting finger." As the finger extended, a towering phantom of a mountain appeared behind him. It was vast enough to bridge heaven and earth. In an instant, the phantom mountain rapidly compressed, condensing into his fingertip. The moment the mountain fully disappeared, the mountain shifting finger reached its peak power, like an entire mountain crashing forward with that one strike. Inside the palace, a hearty, joyful laugh echoed, followed by a deafening roar that made the ground tremble violently. Two tremendous forces collided with a thunderous boom, unleashing a storm beyond imagination. The shockwave swept outward, tearing through the ground, lifting debris and dust. The palace where Wang Lin stood crumbled under the impact, all its rubble sucked backward in the blast. Situ Nan's body trembled. Shock filled his eyes as he transformed into a streak of rainbow streak, retreating over 100 feet before the overwhelming force finally dispersed from his body. Even then, his right hand still quivered slightly with numbness. What divine ability is this? Just raw physical strength alone shattered my mountain shifting technique, and even forced me back. When did this brat become so powerful? A spark of excitement lit up Situ Nan's eyes. With a loud laugh, he soared back into the air, raised his right hand, and pointed upward, shouting joyfully. That mountain shifting finger just now? That was only a fraction of its power. Let me show you the real version. The one I perfected after long years of enlightenment on that godforsaken savage star. Bring it on. Wang Lin's voice rang out from the ground. With a single step, he rose into the air, facing Situ Nan with rare excitement and warmth in his eyes. A smile spread across Situ Nan's face. Despite his composure, the deep admiration and long-lost emotion in his expression betrayed just how much this moment meant to him. They locked eyes in midair. Sometimes, between brothers, no words are needed. A single glance is enough to stir years of shared memories. Scenes from the Vermilion Bird Star flooded both their minds at once. Mountain shifting finger. Situ Nan let out a long laugh as his right hand suddenly descended, pointing at Wang Lin. In that moment, every mountain on the water spirit star trembled. One by one, phantom mountain souls emerged, ethereal, misty, and soaring into the air. Behind Situ Nan, an astonishing scene unfolded. Hundreds, thousands of phantom peaks took form. They were the souls of every mountain on the entire water spirit star, all summoned and condensed behind him. Suspended in the sky, they looked as real as an illusion can be, like a mirage made manifest. As his finger descended, the mountain souls released an ancient, enduring aura that lingered in the air. They converged in unison, transforming into the formidable force of the mountain shifting finger, howling furiously toward Wang Lin. This finger strike was the most powerful divine ability born from the fusion of all mountain souls of the water spirit star. The overwhelming might of the mountain-shifting finger caused a strange gleam to flash in Wang Lin's eyes. Laughing heartily, he raised his right hand and clenched it tightly. Instantly, a thunderous roar echoed through the heavens, as though his grasp had seized the entire sky. With a deafening boom, a massive phantom of an ancient god arm appeared in front of Wang Lin, as if that single punch were the furious strike of an ancient god. Explosions shook the heavens. In that instant, the sounds of the water spirit star were drowned out entirely, replaced by an eternal roar that reverberated in everyone's ears. Situ Nan, having fused all the mountain souls of the water spirit star into this mountain-shifting finger, clashed with Wang Lin's punch from across the air. The collision unleashed an immense shockwave that turned into a violent gale, sweeping everything back. The oceans across the stars surged wildly, waves crashing like mountains. Situ Nan laughed as he staggered backward, his eyes filled with admiration. He shouted, "They say 3 days apart, and a man is reborn. But Wang Lin, after centuries, you've truly shocked me today." Wang Lin also retreated 100 feet, laughing heartily. "Seems like you've been in seclusion again all these years." They locked eyes and both broke into broad smiles. Wang Lin hadn't felt this kind of happiness in ages. To be reunited with Situ Nan, this bond forged through 1,000 years of friendship, warmed his heart. Situ Nan felt the same. Arrogant all his life, he had very few true friends, most of whom were long lost. But Wang Lin was different. He was one of the rare few who had faced life and death alongside him. Seeing Wang Lin's cultivation reach such a level filled him with genuine joy. At Wang Lin's invitation, the two turned into streaks of rainbow light, vanishing into the distance and leaving behind a stunned crowd. The three masters of Dust Path, in particular, were dumbfounded by this sudden shift. After a long pause, they finally let out bitter smiles. Having reached the glimpse of Nirvana stage, all three were highly intelligent. It dawned on them now that when Situ Nan spoke of seizing Zhao Shui and Xun'er for the sake of a brother, there was an 80% chance that brother was none other than Wang Lin. Floating Wind Master could only smile wryly at the scene. Shaking his head, he glanced toward the ruins of the palace complex, where the silver-robed woman had already emerged from Situ Nan's divine ability. A trace of doubt flickered in his heart. As for the others, they quietly dispersed. Meanwhile, Wang Lin and Situ Nan sat across from each other atop the supreme peak, where Wang Lin had once comprehended the twilight at the break of dawn. With mountain winds fluttering their robes, the two spoke at length about their experiences over the centuries. Between them was a white jade table, upon which sat a wine flask and cups, brought by Situ Nan. Taking a sip, he sighed. "I never imagined that after you arrived on the Destiny Star, you'd go through so much. If I had known, I would have dragged you along to live the carefree life of a prince with me." Wang Lin raised his cup, took a drink, and shook his head. "If not for the upheavals on Destiny Star, I wouldn't have reached my current cultivation. I heard tales of the battle between Luotian and the Alliance while I was on Phoenix Luan Star. The name Su Mu, the true Thunder Immortal of Luotian, came up more than once." "Huh, never thought it was you all along." Situ Nan chuckled, setting his cup down with a half-smile. Wang Lin's expression was calm. He smiled and said, "Just a twist of fate. But your cultivation is rather unusual. You're clearly only at mid-glimpse of Nirvana stage, yet that punch just now even startled me." Although Situ Nan was at the early pure Nirvana stage, his innate talent was extraordinary. After years of seclusion and study, he stood at the very pinnacle of his realm. If pushed to the limit, he could even battle someone at mid-pure Nirvana stage, albeit at a heavy cost. Though their duel was more sparring than serious, Situ Nan clearly sensed a deeply hidden power within Wang Lin, so overwhelming that even his own arrogance couldn't ignore it. This boy from the past had, over a millennium, shed all traces of youth. He had become a true cultivator. In a brief moment of reverie, Situ Nan recalled the young child who had stumbled off a cliff and picked up a pearl. That memory shifted again to the innocent youth of the Xun'er sect, unfamiliar with the brutal world of cultivation. He saw the boy who, after losing family and flesh, was saved by him, who had slaughtered relentlessly for centuries like a demon. He saw the man who, after returning to a mortal life, rediscovered himself, comprehending the cycle of reincarnation, gradually rising on Vermilion Bird Star, eventually reaching the pinnacle, and even awakening Situ Nan from his long slumber. Situ Nan sighed lightly, gazing at Wang Lin. Unknowingly, the image of their parting under the nebula years ago reappeared before his eyes. One had gone to Tianyun to seek a master and learn the arts, while the other had gone to Fenghuan to indulge in the world. Centuries had passed in the blink of an eye, and today, they met again. Apart from the unchanged friendship, everything else had changed so much. The lament of life could not be more poignant than this. Wang Lin also gazed at Situ Nan, memories from that time flooding his mind. These memories were distant, yet Wang Lin could never forget them. He couldn't forget the time he looked up at the sky and uttered a single sentence. I, Wang Lin, in this life, will not bow to heaven and earth, nor revere gods and ghosts. I will only bow to my parents and respect Situ. Situ Nan had helped him in countless ways. If not for Situ, Wang Lin would have died in Zhao Kingdom many years ago and would not have reached his current accomplishments. If not for Situ, with Wang Lin's talent, it would have been impossible for him to progress through the foundational steps of cultivation, such as qi refining, foundation establishment, core formation, and nascent soul. Without those basics, he would never have reached where he was now. If not for Situ's shattered nirvana, demon transformation, yellow spring finger, and the detailed explanations of the magical artifacts and divine powers, Wang Lin would have found it difficult to establish himself on Tianyun Star. If not for Situ, in the land of demonic spirits, with the demon attacks that dissipated his life force, without the annihilation finger, he would have been erased long ago. And then there was Tianyi. This mysterious artifact. If Situ Nan had the slightest selfishness, Wang Lin would never have obtained it. But Situ, merely because Tianyi had fused with Wang Lin's Yuan spirit, said in passing, "This item, I give to you." As old memories surged in his heart, the two of them stood in silence atop Supreme Peak. The mountain wind blew, carrying away their emotions. These emotions grew deeper and stronger, turning into a wisp of smoke that intertwined within their hearts, becoming an eternal friendship. With the mountain breeze as their companion, they drank cup after cup. After a brief silence, they shared a hearty laugh. True friends needed no words, just a cup of wine, a shared laugh, and the sorrow would melt away, leaving only joy. A man may live without a lover, but he must never live without true friends. As for Wang Lin's peculiar cultivation, Situ Nan did not press further. He interrupted Wang Lin's words, raised his cup, and laughed loudly. "Between you and me, what need for more words? Just like when I was in Fenghuan Star, I encountered a setback. The first thing I thought of was to come find you. When the time comes, we'll kill our way back to Fenghuan Star together." Wang Lin smiled and nodded, not asking further. He chatted with Situ Nan about the past, drinking cup after cup. Before they knew it, it was late into the night. The bright moon hung high in the sky, casting its pure light down. Though it was cold, the tranquility of the night, with all sound stilled, made this quiet time of talking with a friend bring peace to Wang Lin's heart. He hadn't felt this warmth in a long time, a warmth that naturally arose when meeting an old friend, much like the days when he had relied on Situ Nan within Tianyi on Vermilion Bird Star. "You're quite famous in the Luotian star domain, living a life full of flavor. As for me, damn it, I barely got to enjoy myself on Fenghuan Star. By chance, I saw a few of the women there pretending to be dragons and phoenixes. Normally, this wouldn't matter much. Things like that happen all the time in the cultivation world. I wasn't bothered by it. It's not like I just glanced at them. I even used a jade slip and my divine sense to record everything." Situ Nan took a big gulp of wine, looking gloomy as he spoke. "You know, I didn't do much, but they issued a manhunt and chased me day and night, forcing me to hide everywhere. I couldn't even rest easy when I was a prince. In the end, I had to keep changing my retreat places every so often. These hundreds of years, I've lived like a rat, hiding in abandoned cultivation planets, from places full of spiritual energy to ones with none." Situ Nan, fuming, took another big swig from the wine jug and then set it down with a grudge. "After coming out of seclusion, I went straight to Fenghuan Star, But there were too many of those women, plus a few helpers they had found. They ended up giving me a huge beating. At this point, his face reddened. Wang Lin was curious, scrutinizing him closely, then suddenly furrowed his brows. Grabbing Situ Nan's right hand, he unleashed his divine sense. After a long moment, Wang Lin's expression grew increasingly strange. Situ Nan sighed bitterly, took another gulp of wine, and said, "You figured it out?" Wang Lin remained silent for a moment, his eyes flashing cold light, and a terrifying killing intent ignited within him. He nodded, his voice low. "What poison is this, that even with your cultivation, you can't expel it?" Situ Nan put down his wine cup, giving a bitter smile. "I don't know where those women from Fenghuan Star got this poison, but after looking through many ancient texts, I found out this poison is called ecstasy and agony. 3 days of ecstasy, 3 days of agony. Damn it. I really have felt like I've been on the edge of ecstasy and agony these days. This poison is a remnant of the immortal realm. Before the immortal realm collapsed, it was forged over hundreds of years by countless immortals through ritual refinement. It has no effect on mortals. Its true target is immortals. Once afflicted, the poison cannot be expelled. For the moment it enters the body, it fuses with the essence spirit, becoming indistinguishable from it. Its most terrifying effect is captured in the phrase ecstasy and agony. For the first 3 days, the victim is plunged into constant illusion, drained of all mental energy. In the following 3 days, they linger on the edge of death. By the 7th day, both body and soul are completely annihilated. Though it takes 7 days to die, the moment the poison takes hold, the victim loses all cultivation base. Then Wang Lin turned to look at Situ Nan. Clearly, Situ Nan's cultivation hadn't been lost.